This is the Holga 120N camera, and it's a piece of crap. It leaks light all over the place. It's got such a bad, crappy lens on it. You can never really get your focusing right. It causes vignettes all round it. What a waste of film if you're going to shoot a Holga. Why waste all that time and effort and film to get just pretty much rubbish photographs back from a Holga? So that's the comments section out of the way, guys. This is for people that love Holga like I do. I love shooting this camera, and if you've never tried one of these before, for the cost of it, I definitely recommend having a look. I think these are about £30, even cheaper on the used market. What I just said, okay, it can pretty much stand, but if you can see past the flaws, it's a really good camera to shoot and fun as well. So the other day I was working from home and I looked out the window and I just saw beautiful blue skies. The light was perfect, and I went over to a place called Yaverland to the beach to take photographs of the cliffs, again to get the clouds, the blue sky in. And my intentions here are to come back, get in the darkroom and make a couple of Holga prints. So while I'm out shooting, in my mind I'm thinking, you know, what's going to look good printed out from the scenes and from what I've got and the light available to me here. And I've just stopped the video there for a moment here for those that are not going to watch until the end. I'm in the dark room. I've made some prints which you'll see later on in the video. If any of you guys like the prints and the work that I do and you want to support the channel, I'm putting out 2 of these prints in a set for sale on the SFLaB website. I'll put a link in the description, and hopefully you'll watch till the end. If not, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. So, because it was such a nice day, I went for a walk along the beach. The clouds were perfect, nice big poppy clouds, big fluffy clouds, and the lighting was beautiful. I thought, let's go down to the beach and we'll take a shot through the cliffs. And I had in my mind for reefs. I wanted to shoot reefy stuff, but I had to wait until the sunlight came out because it was thrown off some really nice highlights. And I thought, if I can get those highlights within the photograph, the rest of it's going to look nice. The cliff at the background is going to light up as well. So I waited and waited for the sun to come out. And when it did, I took the photograph, and this is what I got. The trouble is with the filters, there's no screw thread on here for any filters. I don't know if there's any, there probably is some attachments that you can use for filters on a Holga, but I'm going to try and get away with using my fingers and keeping my fingers out of shot. And there's no threads on this for any filters. Now, I took an orange filter out with me, and you've got to be really careful. If I shoot the orange filter, I sort of place it over the lens and hold it with my fingers so that my fingers don't get in the shot. Don't get in the shot. Like so. It does give you a slight more vignetting, I've noticed, but if I crop in, that gets lost. I found it's pretty touch and go with this. I could use it, I've got actually square filters that I could use, but I ended up taking this one out with me. But I think, to be honest with you, the square colour filters for black and white photography are probably much better to hold over the lens. So, place the filter over like so. Try and keep my fingers out, that's the most important thing. Just so I can get some cloud and dark blue sky, and I'm just taking a normal scape like so. Let's see how that darkens the sky. So as I was walking up there, that's where I was just walking a moment ago, right in the background, that's where I was. I've walked all the way along the cliff edge, and I've come down onto the beach because I spotted a load of rocks and stones that are sitting there with the tide out. So I'm going to get a picture of those. So I decided to go onto the beach and investigate what these slabs were. Now at the time I didn't have a clue what they were. It's only when I got back that I researched it a little bit on the local information, and it said that they are from the 19th century, late 19th century, so the late 1800s. It was a defence wall that had been collapsed and buried under the sand for well over 100 odd years. And because of the erosion recently with all the storms and stuff, it's kicked all the sand away, and these slabs have now shown themselves on the beach. That's why I'd never seen them before. So I thought it was well worth taking photographs of them, and I got a bit excited because I shot the rest of the roll on different compositions. I just thought, why not? So that's what I did. I got the rest of the photographs on these slabs, and they all look quite nice. Here we go, we've got little tiny pools of water as well. I'm going to go over to this one and see what we can get here with the cliffs in the background. Oh, this will look quite nice, I think. The tide's just coming in. This is going to look lovely. Let's see how it comes out. The Holga has got only one shutter speed, 1/100th of a second or thereabouts. Over time that could change because of the spring-loaded shutter. And it has two apertures, f11 and f8, which makes film choice simple. On a sunny day like today, I'll choose a 100 speed film or Ilford FP4. So mostly today I was waiting for the sun to come through the clouds and then shoot at f11. And when I used the orange filter, I changed it to f8. On an overcast day, I would choose a 400 speed film, as I did here when I took to the streets for some Holga fun. And if I felt I needed to compensate for any overexposure or underexposure, then I can easily adjust my development times to shoot. It really is that simple. So this is the camera itself, real simple to use. The front of it, you've got a 60mm lens. This one is actually glass, and it is a little, it's soft focus, gives a little bit of vignetting. It is what it is, it's Holga. On the top there, you've got your distance scale or your zone focusing. So you've got a little person, which is for a portrait. You've got 3 people, a small group. You've got a large group. And also you've got a mountain for landscape as well. Your usual suspects there for your focusing. And also on the top, you've got your aperture settings. So you've got 2 apertures with this camera. You've got f11, which is denoted by a sunny little icon there. And also f8, where it shows sort of cloud. So what I do with this camera, if it's a sort of light or mid-overcast, I'll go out with a 400 speed film, or if it's bright and sunny, I'll go out with an FP4 125 or 100 speed film. Now the thing is, on the bottom of the camera, you've got this little tiny bulb notch and also a N for normal. So you can have it in bulb mode or normal shooting, but be careful, because if you've got that in bulb mode, it's very hard to hear that you've got it in bulb mode. You'll go along, you'll take your pictures, and you won't realise that you're in bulb mode. So you're taking photographs and your exposures are going to be all over the place. But the bulb mode is fantastic because that means you can get long exposures with the Holga if you want to. And on the back of the camera, you've got your little red window. It shows 12 shots for a 6x6 medium format, or 16 shots. There's a little tiny masking frame you can put in the Holga, and it gives you 16 of 645. And normally that's 15 on a medium format camera. This one, for some reason, gives an extra one. I don't know why. I've never used it in 645 format. I'm always using the 6.6 format. But the main thing about this camera is you've got to have some gaffer tape or some black tape, because you need to strap this, you need to mummify it basically to stop any light getting inside. They do leak, they're only cheap. And if we pull the back of the camera off, let's just take these clasps off. They can fling off easily. Look, if you're shooting away, it's happened to me before, they accidentally ping off. Your back's going to fling off like that and you're in trouble. So what I like to do is I'll take my gaffer tape and I'll put tape all the way along here and all the way down the bottom here, and especially get these clasps taped up as well, because they're easy to knock off while you're shooting. It's happened to me before, accidentally nudged it, it's flipped off, the back's flipped open, wasted all my shots, and I would have been really gutted if that had happened to me on these 2 shoots, to be honest with you. So it's just a case of making sure that before you go out, your Holga's ready to take pictures and you're not going to be disappointed. If you shoot one of these cameras, don't expect to come back with, fantastic flawless images. It's not going to happen. It is what it is. You come back with Holga photographs, and which can be great if you want by the end of the year, have a project of all your Holga photographs and you want to put them into a book or whatever, you know, my Holga collection, you've got a reason to go out and shoot Holga. Other than that, it's just a fun camera to play with. So what I'm going to do is get in the darkroom, guys. I'm going to be printing on Ilford's multi-grade paper. This is 10x8 paper. And I've got a couple of frames here with some pictures that I've had off of the wall for a long time. They were on display at one point in my home, but it's time to have a little change around. So I'm going to use these frames. You can see they've got a square aperture inside, or a square mount mat. And I'm going to be putting 2 photographs in these frames here. And I'll show you what they look like afterwards. We'll go through the darkroom. I'll show you the printing process and how we get on. There's a couple of photographs that I'd like to print from the session which are in here, and there's my negatives from the previous day. You can see how nice they've all turned out, and I developed these in 510 Pyro FP4 510 Pyro rotary for 9.5 minutes with this camera, and they've come out really good. So I'm going to get a couple of those negatives inside them frames. I haven't brought in to the darkroom with me my easel. I don't need it. I'm going to use the actual frame, or the mat that's come out of that frame. That's perfect size for what I want, obviously, so I'm going to use that as my easel on the baseboard. That's the paper that I'm going to be printing on, Ilford's multi-grade deluxe paper 10x8. That's all I need. Now obviously I'm going to be printing the Culver Cliff one that I really liked. So the first thing I've got to do is turn all the lights out and get this template down so I know exactly where I'm printing. So let's get all the lights turned off. So what I need to do, look at that, look how big that is compared to where I want to print. So I've got loads of space to crop if I want to. I want to try and get as much as I can in, because it's a straight negative, so there's no reason for me to crop other than because I just want to, but there's no horizons to straighten, so that's good. And because I'm printing quite small, I can bring the aperture down on the enlarger, otherwise it's going to be very, very short time projections. I just need to make a hinge on that template there. So I'll just put a little tiny piece on the edge there, that will keep it down. And another little tiny piece on this edge right there, that will keep that down. So I'm just going to do some test strips to start with a 2.5 grade filter and see where we go from there. I think I'm going to need to add or boost a bit of contrast, which is exactly what I did in the scans, so we'll soon see. And I need to close that aperture down because there's a lot of light hitting that where the enlarger is so close to the baseboard. Right, turn the lights off, and I'm going to go right across the horizon of the sea. So I've got a little bit of sky, a little bit of sea. I can see where I'm going from there, and off we go. I don't usually work with prints this small, but they do suit that little tiny frame, and I think these will work perfectly for it without going too big with the Holga legs. I think they'd be all right. I think they'd hold up, but I think smaller ones would show maybe more sharpness. I don't know, but I'm not interested in that. I'm just going to print this size because that's what I wanted to do. So there's some test strips. There's the first one that I did, then I did a second one at 10 seconds, a bit too dark. This one's 5 seconds. It looks much better. The sea and everything looks much better, but this area is just looking a bit dark. And I want to try and burn the sky in a little bit. So I'm going to go for a print, but just burn the sky in after that. But during that first 5 seconds, I just need to dodge this area maybe for a couple of seconds. I don't want that to go too dark. There's a very lovely smooth grain on this FP4 with that pyro, very smooth indeed. That'll do. And it doesn't matter if the paper's wonky inside there because I'm going to be cutting this to fit in that frame, so it doesn't bother me. There you go. And I'll just put a weight here just to flatten that mat. That'll do. And I want to burn in the cliff, so I'm just going to burn that cliff in a little bit using a little tiny piece of card with a hole in. Just literally a couple of seconds. Okay, one. Just get some light on there, there you go. And then just freehand, just burn that sky in, graduate it up a little bit, a few seconds. 1, 2, up to the top, and make it dark at the top. That'll do. I reckon that's going to be good. In goes the paper, and we'll watch that come through. And there's my 2 prints that I'd made in the darkroom and framed. They were the photographs that I liked out of all that I took. These are the ones that I like the most, and I'm going to be putting these side by side in my house as a set. The size of the print is about 5.5 inch inside these frames. So if you're interested in if you like these photographs, guys, I'm going to be selling these 2, not these frames, but the 2 prints. I printed out quite a few in the darkroom to sell, so I'll be putting those on my website. If you like those, I'll be going out as a set. If you want to support the channel, help me get more chemicals, film and paper for future videos, I appreciate it. But what a fun little camera to shoot. It's a no-nonsense camera, 2 apertures, 1 shutter speed. Choose the right film, choose the right lighting conditions, and you should come back with some really nice, interesting photographs. And not only that, there is another company called Holga. They sent me this a few years ago now. This is like a Holga on steroids. This one's got your shutter speed mechanism on top, and it goes it's got bulb mode from 1 second all the way to 1/25 of a second. So if you want to get a little bit more creative, you've got shutter speeds on this version. Of course, it's a little bit more expensive. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in the Holga that's got shutter speeds on it. But it does work really well, takes a little battery. But other than that, fantastic, fun little cameras to shoot. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all the Patrons and YouTube members that support the channel. I really do appreciate your support, and all the subscribers and people that send me direct messages. I'll catch you next time. Photographs taken. Rewind the film back, get back, develop the film,